Hello friends, it is Wednesday the 19th of October, my name's Scott, welcome to Not Scott. My hardware is fucked. I have a Samsung Galaxy S6, so at least it's not like the S7 and spontaneously combusting. But the USB cable that connects the phone to the laptop is pretty much done, and I'm gonna have to pop into the shop next week to try and get that fixed. It's a bit irritating because I love doing these things, I love chatting with you, but hardware issues are sort of getting in the way of them being consistent. I hope to have it all fixed by next week, but while we're here, the Columbia Journalism Review wrote a really insightful article about the amount of journalists who have donated to Hillary Clinton's campaign. A few also donated to Donald Trump, which is unsurprising when you see some American media outlets. Although, if you are a Trump supporter, this news sort of gives you some ammunition to be like, the mainstream media is biased and in favour of crooked Hillary. The question I want to ask you folks is, should journalists be donating to politicians? The article, linked down below, goes into detail about certain organisations having strict no donations policy, while others are more lenient in certain areas, such as if you're a restaurant critic, it doesn't really get in the way of your opinion of Gusto's restaurant if you happen to pick a political side. Yes, my only experience with food critics is Ratatouille. And while we have to remember that journalist is a professional job title and the people doing those jobs have personal opinions, I know I'm guilty of losing trust in journalists who express being partisan. And I don't mean the commentary type of journalist who we know is partisan. I don't hate Owen Jones for what he does. What Owen Jones does is part of the Owen Jones brand. When we read him, we buy into what he does. But if you're reporting the news and you claim to be unbiased, I do tend to see that reporter through a different lens if I know that behind what they're saying, they have a certain political view. It would be impractical for everyone to come with a little disclaimer as they report the news, but I do know that if I'm hearing something from a broadcaster or a reporter, I don't want to also think, how does this sync up with what they personally believe, and is it seeping into the way they're reporting the story? I'd love to know what you think. Do you think journalists should be fine expressing political beliefs as long as the journalism that they do is separate from their personal opinions that they happen to share on Twitter or on social media or in candid interviews? Or should journalists be required to be unaffiliated and be pretty passive voters? And in a follow-up to the University of Edinburgh story with them raising their tuition fees, Glasgow Uni has followed suit, and the Student Representative Council has released a lengthy statement which you can read down below. If I am the SRC, yes, I am going to come out and condemn the rise of tuition fees from £9,000 to £9,250. But man, if I am the university and every other university is raising their fees, even practically, I'm like, we have to do this so that the perception of the university doesn't change, so that we don't have like a disproportionate amount of people applying to us, so that people don't think that Edinburgh's better than us. Nah. The SRC expressed genuine concerns. It seems that there was no notice given to any elected student official that this change was happening until a few days before so. And you have to imagine that a decision like this was probably not made overnight. And as they point out, Glasgow University wants to develop world changers, but this action seems to show that the institution itself is happy to follow Edinburgh University's lead rather than form their own path. Tuition fees are a barrier to education and a massive problem, but as I said in the other video, I don't think they're the biggest problem facing higher education right now. Before they even see that fee, or before they think of applying to university, if you're Scottish or from the EU, you have to consider so many other things like the amount of college places available, your postcode, your class, the school you went to, whether you have been in an environment that says university is for you. And one last thing. Regardless of your opinion on Bob Dylan winning the Nobel Prize, wasn't it great to see public disagreements where the disagreement was pretty civil? I didn't see anyone unfriending anyone else. I didn't see comments calling him Crooked Bob and how Tom Waits should have won instead, which, for my money, would have made me 10 times happier. But it was a nice reminder after months of disgusting and inappropriate and destructive yelling that we can disagree and it doesn't have to make the next family dinner really awkward. As always, I want to hear what you think about the things we've talked about today. It might be a few more days before I get another one of these things out due to hardware issues. But I love this, I love chatting with you, and I hope we get to keep doing this. Thank you so much for watching, yous are all fab. Have a good one, friends.